This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having my good friend, my SoulCycle instructor, and now my virtual digital instructor for my calves, my abs, and my soul and my mind, Jaidus, plugging in from Greater New York. And I miss not seeing him in the studio. Jaidus, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What's going on?
Awesome. So we've been sheltering in place, and you've kind of continued your following and kept your community fit and connected to you personally. So, could you give a little bit of your background first and, how you got to become a fitness instructor, and then we'll kind of talk about the business side of that.
My journey into fitness was sort of accidental, at least in terms of being an actual instructor. I've always been an athlete growing up. I played sports, football. I was a varsity swimmer. I wrestled. So I've always been somewhat athletic and into fitness. I just never thought I'd be teaching it. So naturally, just an athletic guy, moved to New York for now feels like 10 years ago to be a performer. So I came in as an actor, singer, dancer, and did all that stuff, some off-Broadway shows, some commercials, some modeling campaign, background dance for a couple big name artists. And I think the last job that I did before I got into fitness as a career I was in a show in Las Vegas. And it was a Vegas style, like cabaret, show with topless showgirls, and I was a singer, dancer, one of the leads in the show. And I was doing that show for about 9 months. And though the pay was great, it was an awesome opportunity. I just was like, I don't think I want to live in Vegas. And up until that point, I was really adamant about booking a Broadway show. Broadway actors make great money. At that time, it was probably like $1,800 a week, and you have great health care, and you literally do a show a day or maybe 2 shows, twice a week. But it just seemed like a really great way to get my foot into the door in terms of being a performer. And I think when that show in Vegas made me realize, oh shoot, like this is really monotonous, like doing the same show 8 to 10 times a week. You can't variate much from show to show. You have to be on your cues and sing the same notes and hit the same steps. And I was like, I don't know if Broadway or theater is the space for me, and at least in terms of being an artist. And so when I came back to New York after my 9-month contract, my agent at the time was like, hey, we're going to send you out to Aladdin and Book of Mormon and all these, the Broadway shows. And I was like, actually, I think I want to sort of hone in on TV and film. That was like what I really was adamant about, like doing at that point in time, just because I had been burned out from doing the same show nine months in Vegas. And my agent at the time sent me an email, was like, hey, there's this company called SoulCycle. They're looking for fitness instructors. Right now they're mostly in New York and LA, but they're going to be branching out into all these other markets and areas, and they're really looking to expand. I think it'd be a really good opportunity for you to teach fitness while you're, still going out to castings. And so
nice. That's
sort of how I got introduced to SoulCycle. I took a class through a recruiter program. So I technically was recruited into SoulCycle, and I loved it. I remember having this really visceral response to music and inspiring words and just the sound and the vibe of a whole bunch of people in that room, just like sweating and powering through. And everyone was at different levels, and everyone was just like connected though. And the instructor I had, my first SoulCycle instructor, her name was Melanie Griffith, and I'll never forget, like at the end of that class, I was drenched. Oh, yeah. And I was like literally sobbing like I had went to church and I had told my testimony and I like got delivered. It was one of those moments, and I was like, wow, it just felt really powerful to have an experience that was both mind and body. I think a lot of times fitness can be about, 500 burpees, let's go, what I'm saying, or hit those push-ups, and just like militant and boot camp. And this felt like come as you are, do your best, whoever you are and whatever it is in your life that you're working towards. Your body, as strong as it can be, is needed for your mind to make the connection for you to be the best version of yourself. And I think that's what I got from it, was like this mind, body, soul hybrid of an experience. And that sort of sold me. And I want to say about 5-6 months later, I went through a training program and auditioned, obviously, went through a training program, and I became an instructor. And I sort of haven't looked back since. If anything, I'm more so like coming up for air because I had, swam so deep into the SoulCycle pool. And I've been trying to find different ways to balance my personal goals, other creative endeavors, and still be there to inspire and share in this fitness journey that I've gotten so much out of.
So before you took that first class and got recruited, have you always been, a leader, a voice of inspiration for people, or is that something that you've kind of trained yourself to be able to do?
I think that I've always been a speaker. I mean, I'm an actor by craft, so I've always been a speaker, and I think actors generally have to be really empathetic, have to be open and vulnerable emotionally, have to be able to speak and connect to different people, different parts of ourselves. And so that was something I've always somewhat been comfortable with. Like I was class president in high school.
Where are you from?
Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I've always been a speaker. I've never been like shy when it came to public speaking, but I will say that SoulCycle gave me the confidence to really own my voice. Things that meant a lot to me, connecting people who otherwise would have never met each other. So it has, in a lot of ways, helped me nurture and strengthen my voice as a coach.
So we just did, we got this Halo Academy where we do these business school classes that I was mentioning to you. And we did one on SoulCycle, and we had Ruth Zuckerman come on and basically tell us, the types of people that she was looking for. And, it sounds like you'd be a target for like the perfect, instructor based on what you've just indicated about yourself. What we talked about in this class, which I think is interesting, and maybe you think about this, but there's a very healthy balance between me going to SoulCycle and me going to Jadis's class. And I feel like somehow in the culture of that business, they found the balance where, it's your show, but it's at their theater. But I belong to their theater, but I go there because you're acting and you're the lead of the show. So, a lot of other boutique fitness centers, like I feel like they're always at conflict with the instructor thinking, I own the business. These are my members. I used to work at a bank called Donaldson, Lufkin and Jenrette, DLJ. And it was known where like the culture there was enough business to go around that there was never a fight over how do I get paid or what deal am I working on? Like, that if you get the right times, even if you don't get the right times, you're basically selling out a class or pretty close because of who you are.
Right.
So how have you been able to kind of operate where you're a plane and SoulCycle's, you're the pilot, they own the plane, but it seems to like it works. And I don't think other people have figured that out. So how do you feel as the pilot?
I think foundationally, like from a fundamental standpoint, you have to buy into the vision of the brand. I think a lot of times people, whether they're entrepreneurs or a really driven person at a company, you feel that you have a purpose that's greater than the company or may not align with the brand messaging in total. And sometimes that's where that conflict lies. I think there's a lot of things about the company that I love. I mean, of course, I'm not going to love everything. There's going to be things from a corporate standpoint or inclusion, like there can be a lot of things like pay structure, like, that I might not always see 100% eye to eye on. But I think from like at the core values, what SoulCycle is about and what it was founded upon, I think I stand for those things. And so I always feel comfortable walking into that space. But I also know even within that space, within that big umbrella of goals and ideals that the company stands for, there's a very unique voice that I have, as a Black man coming from immigrant family, living in New York for 10 years, being a creative and also coming from an athletic background, there's a specific voice that I have that may have not represented the brand, that may have not been seen in the brand before, but that I can bring. So I think it's about aligning yourself with brands, corporations, companies, spaces that you support and believe in their core values, but also being bold enough and authentic enough to bring you into that space.
Right. Well, you've touched on some current events here. Sometimes I'll walk into a SoulCycle, I'll walk into a client, and they say, "Hey, I'm building a location in this zip code, and here's what the demographics of that zip code look like."
Right.
And I've been saying this for years, Jaidus, that when I walk into certain fitness studios and I don't feel like it's been inclusive, I don't feel like it looks inclusive, and hopefully this is a wake-up call that changes the way people think. And inherently, I don't want to get too controversial here but if you go into a SoulCycle and you look at the front desk, and then you look at the people that are cleaning the bikes, and then you look at the average demographic, what was that song? Like, it was like a hip hop song, makes me go hum, it makes me go, huh? Yeah. And every time I walk out of that class, I always look in the eye of that woman who's got that white basket. And I look her in the eye every time. I say, thank you. And I say to the guy, I say, thank you. Right. And now with coronavirus, you're like, holy shit, those two people that clean the bikes, they might be the most important people that work in the whole studio, and maybe that's a wake-up call for people to say, you know what, like the respect I need to have for everyone that works in here, because they've got the janitorial job, or I don't even know if they got a business card, or I don't know what their dollars above minimum wage they make, but you better start to like respect people and understand that like the wheel doesn't function without every spoke of it, and maybe those spokes should look a little different than they do.
Yeah. So, you even think about how big automation has been, like self-serve kiosks, like a lot of jobs can be replaced by technology. And if you think about in the age of COVID-19, like a cleaning staff, you can't have a robot clean and disinfect this space, and sort of interesting to highlight that there's a big community of people who've been somewhat left behind or not like underserved, and they played some roles that have stereotypically been small roles. And I think it's really great that, in this era right now, in the midst of a pandemic, like we shed light on the disproportionate amount of people that fill those roles and how way more important those roles are now.
So, just going back to like, how you felt when you took a class, the training that you went through, without having to like force rank things that are important to you. A lot of our health club, just to tell you a quick story, we've got health club operators around the country. And I go around and I speak to them about either here's what the valuations of companies are, or here's what the financial markets are. And I used to use this term with everyone. If you're a middle market health club, if you're like a Gold's Gym or New York Sports Clubs, I'm like, you better know the name of the group exercise instructor that has the relationship with the 300 people that come to this club, because they control those 300 people. Like people don't go to New York sports clubs and take a class because the class is at 9:00. They take a class at 9:00 with Kathy, who they've been taking a class with for 5 years. So I always say to them, like, look, this is like a return on relationships, right? It's like ROR if we're in like financial terms. So if you're Kathy or you're Jaidus and you're working, whether it's in SoulCycle where you seem to be, taken care of better than average instructors, and you got benefits and you got, full-time job and you got training and there's a head of HR, which a lot of people don't have. How would you kind of rank other things that are important to you besides, compensation and a good place to work? Is it, freedom of content? Is it, you could travel, and if they open up a location in Dallas, you could say, hey, I want to move to Dallas. Is it, flexibility of schedule? What are some of the things? Because I want the listeners on this who are health club operators to start to understand that like your employees in this business is your talent. If you don't take care of the talent, you don't have a business in a certain time. So how do you think about what's important?
Well, for me personally, I think work-life balance is extremely important. I think that the cool thing about fitness, particularly as it pertains to instructors and coaches, is that people don't sit in gyms. One group of people don't sit in gyms for 8 hours, right? And I think companies need to understand that our end of the bargain is offering people a certain level of security that most wouldn't get in a fitness space, but they would get in a corporate space, in any 9-to-5 job, in any 40-hour work week job. And in that, you have to understand, because there's a different structure of scheduling, that people, your team, your coaches have to feel like they can balance the responsibilities of teaching a really good class or coaching clients, but also have the flexibility to do other things, to take other classes, to build other skills. I think that's, for me, super important. And I think there are some gyms that have this unrealistic expectations that, because you don't work 40 hours a week, I need you to be at your phone or responding to emails or be 100% available or do a front desk shift. And I don't think that's sustainable. There are still some fitness studios that require their trainers or their coaches or their boutique fitness people to do a studio shift or something like a front desk shift. And I think that isn't what you want in a culture, because you want, one of the reasons that people like fitness and coaches want to be in fitness is that it allows you the freedom of your flexibility, because people work, if they work 9 to 5, you can teach before that time and you can teach after that time, or even teach at lunchtime. For the most part, people want to have a schedule that allows them to do other things, to develop other skills, or to even grow and invest in themselves, whether it's in the business or creating their own streams of income.
Got it. So, over the last 90 days, you've obviously pivoted your business to communicate with your fitness enthusiasts and fans and members in order to deliver your message and your content and your workouts. One, do you think you're going to continue to do that at the same pace? And two, how much additional work is this for you? And, do you think that there's going to, be companies that basically like become a technology platform that, help you more easily deliver without you having now 2 full-time jobs?
I honestly haven't figured out if I want to continue to do this after studios open back up and gyms open back up. I actually started the virtual classes somewhat on accident. I was working on a travel blog, and that was what the website was. And I've been working on the website for a couple months, maybe since last fall, like November, December, something like that. And when COVID-19 happened and studios shut down, I remember that day was like March 16th or something like that. Like anyone else, I had to process what that meant for me going forward as a human versus, how does this affect my, my job? I think I first had to make sure like, am I going to be safe? Is my family going to be safe? Like, what are the precautions? What does this mean? We're still trying to figure out the information. There are people who already had a fitness platform online digitally. I was one of those people. I've always worked out and I share my workouts online and I post them on Instagram or my stories or on Facebook, but it wasn't like a brand that I was creating to be a fitness professional guru. It was just like, I like fitness and I post it. I like traveling, I post it. Mm-hmm. It was like this intentional, I'm going to be a fitness travel brand. But I enjoyed traveling and I enjoyed blogging my travel. So I wanted to have a space sort of dedicated to that. And that's why I created the website. And so when COVID-19 happened, after about a week of processing everything, I was like, wait, maybe within my website, I'm going to just create like a fitness apparatus. I'm going to create like a section where, I can, get new personal training clients. I can stream classes. People can purchase book classes through the website. It just honestly sort of conveniently fell into my lap in a way. I mean, it didn't just fall into my lap. I had to create and be intentional about it. It just so happens that it was, I was already working on the website. I hadn't launched the official website yet. It was just a website I've been working on. I hadn't published it. And so when all this happened, I was like, oh, this is a perfect way to drive my audience to my website to get these email addresses and phone numbers, contact information. So when I do actually launch my travel journey and my lifestyle brand, I'll have the people that I connect with along on the journey. I'll have the information to share. So it seems smart in terms of a business move. And it's just like, oh, this is seamless because it's something you've already been working on. So yeah, it just all sort of like happened by happenstance and coincidence and like some previous planning without me even knowing.
Got it. So when we just did this case on SoulCycle, and they talked about, you know, that there could only be like 250 SoulCycles in the US just based on how the business works. How important do you think it is for being in a market where you've got entertainers and you've got actors and you've got people like yourself to be able to, you know, solicit to say, hey, like, can you come and run this class? Because you're, like you said, you're an actor, you're an entertainer, and you're basically in like a, you know, when you break it down, SoulCycle is basically just, you know, a live entertainment show, and you get to participate on a bike, right? So, you know, a lot of the students that we had in this class said, you know, look, you might not be able to find the equivalent of, you know, 5 or 7 people like you in, I don't know, pick a city, you know, Oklahoma City or Cincinnati. Like if they don't have that kind of foundation of like arts and entertainment and music, you know, you might not be able to, you know, deliver that kind of experience. So, you know, do you think that if we want to keep doing things in a physical location that how important the talent is and how few people can actually do what you do?
I mean, I'm honored that you think so highly of me, and it's always great to see you in Ken class. But I honestly think that it's never really about, like, yeah, in big metropolitan cities like LA and New York, you'll find creatives, artists who can perform and who happen to look attractive and be fit, right? That's how I was recruited. I was recruited because when the company was branching out and they were getting bigger, they were like, you know, we can teach, you know, dancers and actors the fitness part. We just need people who look good and can speak well, and for 45 minutes can turn it on, right? But the truth of the matter is, a lot of people in our lives, we turn it on, whatever it is, you know? Like for me, I only have to turn on for 45 minutes at a time, you know, at work. But a lot of times, a lot of us turn on our business, you know, savviness or our work, put on our work suit and push through. I do think that it's about unique people having ability to connect to other people and having a voice, a point of view, an energy that fills a room in a space. Whether you are a singer, an actor, a dancer, you taught fitness already, you're a comedian, there's all different types of people who can teach fitness. Because the truth, I mean, believe it or not, the truth is everyone won't connect to everyone. There's some people who might feel like I'm too boot camp, I'm too hard. I've been told a lot of times that my class is really hard. And that is a deterrent for some people who wouldn't want to take a class from a fitness person. And there who want to take a class from a mom. Oh, I'm a mom. I just had a baby. Oh, she's a mom. She seems sweet. She seems approachable. Now, whether that's based in insecurity or fear, that allows certain people to have someone that they connect to. So the truth is that whether or not you live in Oklahoma City or Wichita, Kansas, or New York City, it's about wherever you are, finding people, talent that is able to fill a room, that's able to connect to people that may not look like them, that's personable, that's loving, that's funny, that can speak eloquently, articulately, that can inspire people. And it doesn't have to be in a big city. I think here in New York, you have more to choose from, obviously. It's more competitive to be a SoulCycle instructor here, or to be an actor here, or to be a model here, than it probably is in a lot of smaller markets. But I do think that people in smaller markets can thrive as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I've never really thought about this, and Kay and I have never talked about it. But if we were to rank like the reasons why I go to your class, I'm going to do this aloud because I just thought about it. One is because I like you. Okay. If I didn't like you, it doesn't matter. Like the second is I get a good workout. So I know that like my time is being spent wisely. The third thing is I like your music. And the fourth thing is
you are always singing along.
I am
singing along.
and then the fourth thing is that it's a time that's, somewhat convenient. Like if you were at 6 a.m. every morning, I'd probably show up every once in a while, but you wouldn't be my go-to guy. But I think that's the hierarchy. So when I think about talent, I think it's like I connect with you on a human level, and I like you, and there are a lot of things I like about you, but one is that you let everybody in, and you are, compassionate and genuine and authentic. And that's something that Ruth said the other day, which wasn't intuitive to me, but she said, like, we're looking for people who are authentic, but are also vulnerable. And I didn't really understand what she meant by vulnerable, but what I think she meant and what I think you mean is like, you're willing to say, like, this is who I am. I'm actually an actor, but I'm not acting. Right. So I'm going to tell you, like, if I have a good day, you're probably going to know. If I have a bad day, if there's a personal experience that I think will be meaningful to share, I'm going to share it with you because it might help you, because this is what it did to me. Yeah. So I think it's unique, but it's difficult to, like, that's not like a questionnaire where, like, you're in an interview and be like, what school did you go to? Like, how good are you at accounting? Like, how vulnerable are you? Like, I don't know. No one's ever fucking asked me that, So like, it's interesting how she was able to start that culture and to be a place that you would say, hey, that resonates with me. Like, that's who I am.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about, like, as the company grows or any company grows, it's sometimes it's hard to hire that way. Like Google says that, like they always try and have, like, you go through like 7 interviews to go work at Google or something, and I used to work at a firm, and they had a no bad people policy until they hired some bad people. And then that company fell apart, basically.
Right.
So, how do you think about, do you get involved in it? Do they check with you? Are you part of the recruiting process? Is anyone who's an instructor part of the recruiting process?
There are instructors that are part of the recruiting process. Actually, a lot of our instructors who recruit and train instructors were once just instructors. So they're good about making sure that the new talent coming in is learning from old seasoned talent. But I also think time evolves, right? And so what you may have looked for in, 2004 will be totally different than what you may look for in 2018, right? There's probably a lot of companies right now who are knocking down doors to find Black representation, because that's what the culture asks for right now. People are trying to be more inclusive. There was a time SoulCycle wasn't as inclusive. So it shifts. It shifts with the time, and it shifts culturally. Sometimes it's like filling a niche for what you don't have, and sometimes it's building upon what you have and that's working, and you want to have more of it. And so, I can't really answer what they're looking for. I do know sometimes, as an instructor that's been there a while, I've seen people come in and I'm like, I don't quite get it, but it's not for me to get,
Right.
I'm in it, and I have my people, my community, like, and sometimes when you're in something from the outside, it may, you're dealing with different nuances of a company and growth, and they might see something in someone that I don't see. But that happens a lot where new instructors come in and I'm just like, oh. And to me, it might be like they might have lowered the bar, or they're trying to open up their base or be more inclusive or flexible. But I've had a couple, head nod, head scratches moments with instructors.
Yeah. It's almost like, if you liken yourself to like an entertainer, and an artist, Kay might say to me, hey, let's go see this concert, Black Crowes. All right, I'm in, something else. Like we're going to, I may be like, that's not my thing, So, it is interesting from a standpoint. And I was thinking the other day when I go on the SoulCycle bike, it's like only 6 genres of music, right? There should be like 26 genres of music, right? If I want to take a soft jazz class, like nobody does that yet, right? So maybe like the expansion of the bass, and the expansion of everything, all kind of creates different matrices for people figuring out who they want to be or who they want to follow. So
yeah,
I think it's over time.
In all fairness, I think that though you are one of those people who may connect to an instructor, their personality, their vibe, some people will take the 6:30 class no matter who teaches it because that's the time that works for them. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
And that is just the naked truth. Is like some people work fairly inconvenienced. I just need to sweat a little bit. You might have a high bar for what you expect in every experience in your life, which I think that's amazing. I'm sort of the same. I expect service. I want cleanliness. I want to feel fulfilled and inspired. That might be a whole lot for someone else. Someone's like, you know what? This is 6:30 and I just need to sweat a little bit,
Right.
I've had a conversation with some writers and patrons who will complain that music was freaking horrible. And I'm saying freaking because I don't know if I could curse. But
you can curse on here.
But
don't start doing it like just because I told you can.
No, it's cool.
Only if it feels right.
No, but like that music was horrible and the instructor was just weird and then the following week they're right back at the Tuesday 6:30 because that's the time that works for them. So
right.
There was a big audience that you're also catering to, and some might not be as discriminating as others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting when you look at ClassPass, and people are viewing fitness almost like, where can I get the cheapest, turkey wrap because I just want to eat. Right. So it's almost like ClassPass, like, yeah, I'm going to try out this, cycling studio on 22nd, right? Because it's on ClassPass. They don't even know who the instructor is. They don't know anything about it. They just know that the time's right and that they get there, right? So it's interesting. I guess the more people consume fitness, the better. We were just on a podcast and we're trying to fix the healthcare industry, which really should be about prevention. The fact that companies aren't paying 100% of their employees, SoulCycle, Equinox membership, like whatever they want, right? If you spend $800 a month at SoulCycle, even if it's $800 a month, if that person doesn't go work out at all, the first time they go into the hospital, it's $5,000, like to start, right? It's like you're starting ante. So just pay for the SoulCycle classes.
Right.
I haven't gone to a hospital, knock on wood. I've been to a hospital 5 years. I've been to a doctor for any kind of medical issue because SoulCycle is like you're my, I'm Jewish, so you're like my rabbi, okay? SoulCycle is my synagogue, okay? The music is my hymns.
Yeah, I love it.
A is like my, comes with me to pray, basically, right? And so
the sweat is your praise and worship. I love it.
There you go. So to close out, we usually ask people for a quote. You've given me many, in class, but do you have a quote or two that you that drives you or that you like to share with others?
I'm just gonna use this because it's not literally on my website and it's the first thing I think about. If it scares you, it might be a good thing to try, And I think a lot of fear deters people way more than ability does. And I think if we just stepped out on faith and trusted that we had the abilities to do whatever our hearts set out to do, then we'd be able to accomplish some amazing things. So don't let fear hold you back. Be around people that encourage you, that fill you up. Sometimes fear is a direct reflection of our environment. You having no choice but to fear and be cautious and be tentative because you've been sort of it's been ingrained in you to sort of operate out of a place of deficit rather than a place of abundance. So just be fearless.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, it's great to talk to you here. Unfortunately, we can't be in person, but we will be when you do your first class. We'll be in the front row, like we always are.
Sure.
Dedication to you does not diminish over time, my friend.
So, and I'm so glad you got to do this. I know I've been holding off for a while. I think I sometimes feel like I'm busy when I'm not. It's the New York thing. I'm busy, and then you're home. And you're like, wait, actually, I wasn't that busy. So.
Man, you can play hard to get, okay, and I'll play hard to give, okay. But I appreciate you getting on. It was awesome. What do you want? Come here. Kay wants to say something. Get over here. What do you want? All right, she'll talk to you later. We'll be on your Instagram. Great to see you. If there's anything we can do to help you during this period, whether it's anything you're doing online, anything you're doing personally, any kind of movements, anything we could do, we're 100% supportive. I've always been, but I feel like now I just want people to know it as well. So I appreciate everything you're doing. And most importantly, I'm glad we're friends. Okay.
Yeah.
So
much. Pleasure.
Give a shout out to my good friends at lassogear.com, LASSOGEAR.com. I want to give you 20% off using the code HaloTalks on the best compression socks on the planet. I've been using them during the pandemic. My field goal kicking is further and stronger than it's ever been. Check out these socks. You'll love them. They got an L and an R to make it easy to put on each foot. Enjoy it. Trust me, you'll love them.